Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. It is a warm summer's day. Alice is sitting cross-legged on the grass beside the stream, idly scanning the ground in search of four-leaf clover. Her sister sits a few feet away, over there, immersed in a long, sensible book. Alice knows for a fact that this book has no pictures in it, which in her opinion renders it quite useless. But her sister seems engrossed nonetheless, even trying some phrases out loud as if they're terribly important. Alice yawns sympathetically and lies back on the soft grass to enjoy the sunshine on her face. All of a sudden, a white rabbit with pink eyes sprints past and stops abruptly, cocking his ears. Oh dear, he says, I shall be too late. The rabbit takes a watch out of his waistcoat pocket, looks at it and hurries on. Burning with curiosity, Alice leaps up straight away and follows close behind as the white rabbit darts beneath a hedge and disappears down a large rabbit hole. Alice jumps straight in afterwards, without a second thought as to how on earth she'll get out again. Pulling herself to her feet and brushing a few stray leaves from her cardigan, Alice looks around to find herself in a long hall with rows of doors along either side and a small table in the middle. On the table is a tiny golden key, which Alice tries in each of the locks without success. But then she finds one last door in the corner, only a few inches high, and to her delight, the little key fits perfectly. She peeps through and sees a beautiful garden with bright flowers and cool fountains. Alice is much too big to fit through the doorway, so she wanders back to the table, wondering what to do next. To her surprise, she finds a bottle full of clear liquid with a label on the side that reads, "Drink me." So she does. Alice is now only a fraction of her normal size, and she runs to the little door, but she's left the key up on the table and can't reach it. She looks down and sees a small cake on the ground. "Eat me." Alice is now so big that her head touches the roof. She takes the key and unlocks the door, but it's as much as she can do to peep through with one eye, and she's no closer to getting into the beautiful garden. Alice has no idea how she's supposed to escape, and she starts to cry. Her tears are so huge that they form a pool around her feet, and various animals start falling in. Firstly a mouse, then a duck, then a cat, all sorts of creatures. Everything is different again. The table and doors have all vanished. The garden is nowhere to be seen, and Alice is standing by herself in a thick wood. She walks in no particular direction, and by she notices a cat sitting on the branch of a tree. It is a large cat, and it grins from ear to ear. "Hello," says Alice, uncertainly. She can't help noticing the cat's very long claws and a huge number of very white teeth. "I didn't know that cats could grin." "I am a Cheshire Cat," he replies, grinning even more broadly, "and that's why." Then he vanishes into thin air, which is disappointing, as Alice was hoping to ask which way to go. But the cat is soon back again, sitting on his branch as if nothing has happened. Alice cranes her neck to look him straight in the eye. "Cheshire Cat, what sort of people live around here?" The cat indicates vaguely with a paw. "In that direction lives a hatter. In that direction a March hare. They're both mad, so it doesn't matter which you choose." With that he disappears again, but this time quite slowly, from the tail upwards, and the grin lingers by itself after everything else has gone. "Well, I've often seen a cat without a grin," thinks Alice, "but never a grin without a cat." And she heads off towards the March Hare's house, where she finds him with the Mad Hatter and a sleepy dormouse, all enjoying a mad tea party. That's the silliest tea party I've ever been to. I shan't be going there again. Alice notices that one of the trees nearest her has a green door in its trunk, and she slips straight through. Three gardeners are standing there, earnestly applying lashings of red paint to a rose bush. They seem to be in a dreadful hurry and are talking agitatedly to each other. You know how particular she is about red roses. How did we manage to plant a bush of white ones? This is terrible. All of a sudden, they fall flat on the ground, looking quite terrified. The Queen! The Queen! They whisper. We will all be executed. Turning around, Alice could see a grand procession approaching. Soldiers, courtiers, dignitaries of all shapes and sizes, and bringing up the rear, the King and Queen of Hearts. She catches a glimpse of the White Rabbit in the midst of it all, looking nervous and smiling more than usual. The Queen strides up to inspect the rosebush, with barely a glance at the figures quaking at her feet. She turns crimson with fury. Off with their heads! Alice is quite taken aback and stands rooted to the spot. And who are you? Demands the Queen, glaring down at her. My name is Alice, Your Majesty. Alice drops a respectful curtsy, not wishing to be executed just yet. The Queen continues to glare. Can you play croquet? Yes, shouts Alice. Come on, then! The game of croquet proves very difficult indeed. Instead of a traditional mallet, Alice is handed a live pink flamingo. The idea is to use this to knock a hedgehog through a hoop some way down the lawn. This would be tricky enough, given the reluctance of the creatures involved. But the hoops are made by soldiers doubled over on their hands and feet, and they have a habit of wandering off. There's a lot of bickering, and I dare say some bending of the rules, and the Queen worked herself up into such a fury that all she can do is to stamp around yelling, "Off with his head!" or "Off with her head!" in every direction. Clearly the only thing that matters is that the Queen should be declared the winner. So the croquet continues in this chaotic fashion. Alice quickly loses control and sight of both hedgehog and flamingo, so she wanders off through the gardens and meets a sad creature. He is a mock turtle, and he tells a melancholy tale of his childhood. There is a cry in the distance.
The trial is beginning!
Alice jumps up and races back to see what all the commotion is about. A great crowd is assembled, and the king and queen are seated, resplendent, on their thrones. The Knave of Hearts stands before them in heavy chains and under armed guard. At the very centre of proceedings, on a heart-shaped wooden table, rests a large dish of delicious-looking raspberry tarts. The king is the first to speak.
Herald, read the accusation!
The herald is, in fact, the White Rabbit, who holds up a small trumpet, blows a fanfare, and reads aloud from a roll of parchment. The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts and took them quite away. The king turns to the jury, a colourful collection of creatures busily scribbling in the corner of the room.
Consider your verdict.
No, no, says the Queen. Sentence first, verdict afterwards. What nonsense, interrupts Alice, getting suddenly taller and growing in confidence. You can't possibly have the sentencing first.
Silence,
calls the king.
Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high to leave the court.
Everyone looks at Alice. I'm not a mile high, she retorts. And besides, that's not a real rule. You made it up just now.
Hold your tongue,
says the Queen, turning puce. I won't, says Alice. The Queen of Hearts puffs herself up and shouts at the top of her voice, off with her head! Nobody moves. Who cares about you, says Alice. You're just a pack of cards. At this, the whole pack flies up into the air and comes hurtling down at her. Alice finds herself back on the river bank, brushing a few fallen leaves from her face. She sits up and looks around, but everything seems normal. Her sister still buried in her boring book, the stream trickling away as usual. Alice opens her clenched fist and looks closely at the four-leaf clover in the palm of her hand. With a smile, she lays it on the grass for the next lucky person and skips inside for tea.